This is what you might have missed on BCSN Sports Nightly.
It is Thursday, sort of. It is the final edition of In the Paint on the season. Deon Thompson on my left, Andre Savage on my right. Gentlemen, I know it's a bit of an emotional time. This is the last time we'll be together all year. But we bring out the presents. This is a special edition of In the Paint because we have our top three or so. Here's how we're going to do it. 3 categories, 3 of the best things that have happened this year in Northwest Ohio basketball and Southeast Michigan hoop. Here's how we will start it. Number 1, the best storyline of the 2015-2016 season was, Deon Thompson, your thoughts?
I think I have to say Lima Senior. They're still undefeated. I covered those guys last night. I really think they're going to make it down to Columbus. Very solid effort by those guys. Xavier Simpson, he's just one piece. They're a full team, and they look really good right now. And they went undefeated. That's very difficult to do. As a matter of fact, I predicted that they'd have at least one loss. So hats off to those guys. That's my storyline.
Yeah, it has not happened yet, but it could, or it may not as well.
I tell you what, I watched them. They look like they're locked in right now.
Yeah. And all right, Dre, I know you've got a storyline, a few, maybe?
Well, it's not anything that we haven't heard. I think the storyline that sort of prevailed the entire season and never went away was that of the Lady Rams, of Rogers. And how would it come out? No other team in the area had to win a state championship in order to be a success from the beginning. And yet they carried that sort of that moniker all season. They carried that baggage, if you will. Coach Smith and his staff were able to deal with that all season, keep those ladies wherewithal about them. They competed at a very high level, the level that they have, the entire 3-4 years, whatever this has been now, this run that these ladies have had. And I think the fact that, again, they were able to deal with that and still play underneath that and still have the, have the mindset that they were able to sustain all year, I think that's a story. And the fact that they did that, and he should not be vilified for the fact that they did not complete that goal. Again, so many things have to fall your way, and it just didn't happen. Hats off to Ottawa Glandorf.
Yeah, no question. They played a great game, but a tough run, way to end the season for Rogers. All right, no question. 2 very good storylines. All right, so we go to point number 2, handing out more awards. Our Coach of the Year, several coaches in the area deserving of the Coach of the Year. Andre Savage, I know you've been working on this for a long time, writing down all your candidates. Who do you have for your Coach of the Year?
Obviously, I think we could have gone a couple of directions with this. And I'll be honest with you. I think just at this moment it hits me that I think I stay with Coach Smith to some degree here. Because, again, to coach under that type of scrutiny from the day you begin your campaign for the season, no other coach had to carry that. Not even some of the familiar coaches we know with the traditions that we all are accustomed to seeing. This man had to carry this year in and year out now, summer into winter. And again, for that, he gets my salute. But I also definitely like Coach Lindsey in the 419. That's right, Ottawa Hills gang. So again, hats off to him as well.
I have to agree. I like the job Coach Lindsey did. And he did it under the radar. I mean, all year he's been consistent. And I've said this about this team. They're not a deep team. They're not a big team. But somehow, some way, every year, you talk about consistency, and I'm big on that. Coach Lindsey always seems to come out. Matter of fact, they're still playing.
All right, now here's where it gets a little bit juicy. We've got our Player of the Year nominations. Deon and Andre will have 2 players that they will nominate for Player of the Year. We will announce that winner Friday night on Sports Nightly. Let's start with it. Deon Thompson, your 2 nominations for our Player of the Year.
How many other teams, their top player guards the other team's best player 1 through 5? There's only one guy that does that. His name is Aaron Thompson. So he gets my Player of the Year for the guys. I think, like I said, unfortunately, he didn't make first team all track. And I also looked at this criteria too. He is a guy that will start on any team in the area, including Lima Senior.
Sure. And
not a lot of guys can say that. So he gets my player for the guys. And I have another one. And she's a young lady, and I think she's been consistent. Birdie Galernick, going to Northwestern. I don't know how you deny this young lady. She does it in transition. She's a leader. This team this year almost beat Rogers without a legit post player. And it's really her leadership and what she's done. I think she's just been outstanding. So those are my 2. Aaron Thompson, Bertie Galernick.
Excellent choices. Bertie, co-player of the year in Division II in the state of Ohio. All right, we switched over here to Andre Savage, who's been contemplating. Dre, your thoughts?
This young man, Mr. Lauf over here at Napoleon, again, sir, you give my salute, but we talked about that after that last game. You know, I delivered that personally. So, again, I have to give him, you know, my well wishes in that respect. He's a guy I certainly consider more than just a flash in the pan highlight for anybody who was talking that noise. This man can play. And so I moved this along, though, with my second acknowledgement would go to a young lady who we've become very familiar with here in this area. And the beautiful part is it was only her first year of high school basketball. It just happened to be on varsity. She just happened to be the centerpiece of the most pressure-cooked team, as I mentioned, in the area. And she's none other than Miss Zy Cook. And you have to put this young lady on your top billboard of acknowledgments because, again, she took all that scrutiny, too, coming in as the floor general and the person who, again, has to be the most steady, the most consistent, and the most reliable. And I think the young lady did that.
So some great nominations. We will have the winner for you, the Burger King Flame Broiled Athlete of the Year, coming up on Sports Nightly on Friday night.
Be sure to watch Sports Nightly weeknights at 10:30 on BCSN and follow us on Twitter at sports_nightly.